Hello and welcome to Gauntlet Hangouts. Obviously not you four that have been waiting there for about half an hour whilst we dealt with technical issues. So we are playing Bluebeard's Bride tonight. It is a game of feminine horror by Whitney Strix Beltrain, Sarah Doombringer Richardson, and I've forgotten the third person. It's Marissa, isn't it? Marissa Kelly. It is a retelling of the classic and very dark fairy tale of Bluebeard. And it's a very dark game. It's going to touch on some potentially very dark themes. So I always play with the X card on the table. So if there's anything in the game which is uncomfortable for you in a way that isn't fun, because this game is meant to make you uncomfortable, but if it stops being fun, either just say X or make an X sign, put an X in the chat, whatever. That's something I always have for every game that I run, but I'm sort of expecting it to come up in this one, so I will not mind at all if it comes up. That is standard. Similarly, if the game is not for you, absolutely feel free to drop out. There's no necessity to stay in if you don't think this game can be fun for you, because it does get very dark indeed and hopefully scary. But we'll see how that goes. So we start every game of Bluebeard's Bride with a telling of the fairy tale, which I will allocate and read to you all. So it's story time. Once upon a time, there lived a lord whose palace was so splendid and so richly furnished. Sorry, let me start again. Once upon a time, there lived a lord whose palace was so splendid and so richly furnished that even the sultan's could not be compared with it. He had dishes of gold and silver, sofas and chairs upholstered in the finest silk. The walls were adorned with every kind of curious antique. There was, however, something very odd about this lord. The colour of his beard was a rich and shocking blue. His countenance was both distinct and unmistakable, and he was never spoken of by his real title, which was Grand and Noble, but instead he was referred to simply as Bluebeard. He was a fearsome man with deep-set eyes, and he was known for having an uneven temper. Even so, Bluebeard had been married many times. No one knew quite what had become of each of his wives in turn, as there had never been a funeral at the palace that anyone living could remember. They simply vanished, and when time passed, he would marry anew. One day, Bluebeard went hunting in the countryside with his estate. With the sun high, he came upon a dilapidated farmstead and wished to slake his thirst and rest. The farmers were eager to please the powerful lord and sent their lovely young daughter scurrying to serve him tea and bread. Bluebeard was instantly smitten with her beauty. He decided right then that he would take her as his wife. For a week he entertained her amongst a cadre of other fine lords and ladies. No expense was spared. His wealth was dazzling the way a cobra dazzles a mouse. After that single hedonistic week, Bluebeard came to call with a marriage proposal. Bluebeard scared the young woman, but she couldn't let her family languish in poverty, and besides, maybe his beard wasn't that blue. She accepted his proposal. In short order they were married at the palace. Such a sight it was. 1,000 white lilies decorated the pagoda for the ceremony. Delightful incense burned throughout the night. The young bride awoke the next morning in her bed alone, her marriage yet unconsummated. This caused her some amount of anxiety, yet also relief. She was escorted by a servant to the dining hall, and there she found Bluebeard breaking his fast. He greeted her cheerily and bade her eat. Bluebeard informed her that he had received urgent news and must leave at once on a journey of much importance, and would likely be gone for many weeks. He consoled her. To console her, he kissed her affectionately and gave her the keys to every door in his house. He bade her to amuse herself in his absence. Here, he said, are the keys to your new home. The smallest key, my dear, is for the closet at the end of my great gallery. Open everything, go everywhere, save this one little room. I forbid you to use that key. The bride promised to faithfully obey his orders. She stood waving to him from the palace gates as his caravan of camels and horses kicked up a trail of dust as they departed. No sooner was he gone than she began to wonder what could possibly be hidden behind the forbidden door. Did he hide disturbing habits or unseemly desires? Was there some secret treasure that known to only those of noble blood? Did he hide a mistress? Or was it something too terrible for her innocent mind to guess at? She distracted herself from the idea with an exploration of the palace. She inspected the galleries, each more magnificent and splendid than the last. She tried on exotic furs and rubbed herself in priceless oils. She visited the servants in the kitchen, which caused quite a stir, and luxuriated in the steamy marble baths. All the while her curiosity was gnawing at her. Was not the palace now her domain? Did not her husband trust her with his secrets? She idled in her bedchambers, becoming lethargic and gloomy. The splendour of her surroundings took on a sour bent, and she could take no pleasure in them. Finally, she could resist the siren call of the forbidden door no longer. In the pitch of night, she took a single lamp and descended a back staircase to the gallery. She paused, remembering her husband's command. She feared what might happen if she disobeyed, but the impulse of her curiosity was too strong to resist. With trembling hands, she fit the small key into the door and into the lock and opened the door. At first, the weak lamplight, she could not see much. As Fine suggested, she realized what was in the room. The floor was covered in congealing blood, and the walls were lined with the headless bodies, Bluebeard's previous wives. A great scream tore itself from her throat, and she dropped the key. It was a few moments before she came back to herself. In a daze, she grabbed the key from the floor and rushed out of the room. She locked it behind her and returned to her chambers. In the daylight of the following morning, it all seemed like a dream, but when she examined the small key, she found a stain of blood upon it. She wiped it carefully, but the blood remained. Then she washed it and scoured it with sand, but to no avail. That very evening, Bluebeard came back from his journey, saying that he'd received word on the road that his business had already been settled. His wife tried her hardest to appear happy at his early return, but on the inside she quailed. She waited with dread anticipation for him to ask for the return of his keys. He did so upon the next morning. He looked through the keys and saw that the littlest one was stained. How comes this blood upon the key? I do not know, she faltered. But I do, mocked Bluebeard. You have done as I have forbidden. Well, now you will go in once again and take your place among the ladies you are so curious to see. The bride threw herself at her husband's feet and begged him to forgive her disobedience, but Bluebeard had a heart of flinty stone. Prepare for your death, he declared. No, please, give me but a few minutes, she cried, so that I may pray. Bluebeard agreed, and the bride rushed to the top of the nearest tower, hoping against hope that someone, such as her father or mother, may be approaching for a visit, so that she could give them a sign to make haste. Pennants whipped silently in the sun, but nobody was coming. The bride wept bitterly. Given no choice, the bride descended. He led her towards the tiny, horrible room. Near its entrance, he bade her kneel on the rough flagstone. She obeyed, weeping, and without ceremony, he chopped off her head and put her among the other wives. And tonight we're going to be telling a version of that story. We're not going to be telling that story exactly. Ours may take place in a different time, different place, and we are going to play to find out what you choose. You are all going to take aspects of the bride's personality. So you're going to be playing one character, and each of you will be playing a different aspect of that personality. So, Jesse, who are you going to be playing? Which aspect are you going to be playing?
I will be playing the witch.
You'll be playing the witch. And could you read us the little sentence that's by the witch's name to give a little indication of her character?
Yes, it says the witch. You braid magic from shadow and blood. Others desire a taste of your sin and pray for your undoing.
Okay. And Lauren, who are you going to be playing?
I will be playing the mother. For once in my life, I will be playing the only adult in the room. You walk with authority. Others ache for your approval and long for you to soothe their wounds.
Okay. And Mikael, who are you going to be playing?
I'm going to play the Virgin.
You're playing the Virgin? Okay.
Yeah. You see beauty where there is none. Others seek comfort in your warmth and delight in your obedience. Yeah.
Okay. And Philipp?
I will be playing the Animus. You hold onto righteousness with both hands. Others admire your strength and bow to your will.
Okay. The moves in Bluebeard's Bride are they're a little different to your average Power by the Apocalypse. So most of them don't involve any rolling at all. It's just pick options from a list once you trigger it. And also the way in which you trigger them is a little more it's a lot more storytelling than in the previous one. So you're much more likely in this game to say, I I care for someone or I investigate a mysterious object than you are to just wait for it to come up. So if you want to do something, if you're angling for a particular move, then do say, especially if it's one of the ones on your sheet, which I won't be keeping an eye on, but I'll be keeping an eye on the basic moves. But yeah. So there are 3 different sorts of moves as well. There are maiden moves, there are ring moves, and there are exit moves. So the maiden moves are ones that any of you can do at any time, and they are care for someone. When you care for someone, servant or horror, you ease their suffering and bridle their torment. They may demand a demonstration of your sincerity. There is investigate a mysterious object. When you investigate a mysterious object from a room, ask 2. Whose item is this? What memory does this item hold? What about this item is odd or uncanny? And why did Bluebeard keep this item? There is take stock. When you take stock of a tense situation, ask 1. What stalks the bride from the shadows? What traps have been laid for the bride? What does this place demand of the bride? And what horror is hidden here from the bride? At any one point, one of you will have the ring. This is the wedding ring that Bluebeard has given you, and it puts you in more control than any of the other sisters at that point. So when you have the ring, you can shiver from fear. So it says, when you shiver from fear, name the thing that you're most afraid of will happen. Name the thing you're most afraid will happen. The groundskeeper will tell you how it's worse than you feared. Keep the ring and choose 2, or pass the ring and choose 1. It affects the bride with its perversion. It has the bride in its clutches right now. It speaks to you. Take 1 trauma. Just you, sister. Now, shiver in fear is an unusual move in that you can trigger it either in character, in which case you say, I shiver, my character shivers in fear, you describe something along those lines. Or if you say, if I see you, as in you, the player, shiver or shudder, or make that little thing which Lauren just did, or just say, I don't like this, something like that, then we can trigger it as well. There is caress a horror. When you caress a horror, roll plus blood. Oh, sorry, ring moves require a roll as well, whereas your maiden moves don't. When you caress a horror, roll plus blood. On a hit, the horror is swayed by your stroke. Direct what was intended for you to another victim in the house. On a 7 to 9, it will shift its attention, but only if you participate in some way. There is dirty yourself with violence. When you dirty yourself with violence, roll plus carnality. On a hit, you inflict trauma as established and choose 1. Disable them, silence them, or mutilate them. I'm going to shift from fear there myself. On a 7 to 9, choose 1 from below as well. Your vulnerability opens you to trauma. Your carelessness leaves you in a bad spot. Those cry out for help. When you break down and cry out for help, roll plus resilience. On a hit, a house servant comes to address your concerns and calm your hysteria. On a 7 to 9, they help you, but they first need proof of your loyalty to Bluebeard. And there is give up the ring. When you voluntarily give up the ring, pass the ring to the next sister. You are immune to trauma until that sister passes the ring. Whenever you make one of those ring moves, you have to pass on the ring. So one of you will start with the ring. I'll tell you who that is at the start of the game. If you make a ring move, you have to pass the ring on to the next sister. Someone who hasn't had it before, but you can choose who. There are exit moves. Once you are in a room, the door will close behind you, and there are only 2 ways of getting out, and only the person who has the ring at that time can declare how you're getting out. So you can attempt to escape. So when you attempt to escape without proposing a truth, the groundskeeper will offer you a hard bargain or an ugly choice. If you pay the price, you escape. Or you can propose a truth. When you propose a truth about a room, detail what you think happened in the room, to whom, and why. Next, describe the token that you take to support your interpretation of what happened here and mark it down on the appropriate token track. If your token is a token of faithfulness, you're closer to proving that your trust in your husband is well placed. Heal 1 trauma. That's everyone heals 1 trauma. If it's a token of disloyalty, you're closer to proving your unkind suspicions about your husband are true. Mark 1 trauma. Again, that is everyone. Okay, does anyone have any questions about the moves before we carry on? No? All good? Okay. So, just get the sheet up. So the animus is Philipp, Jen is Mikael, The mother is Lauren, and the witch is. We will start with the animus. We're going to ask you. Well, first of all, in terms of the setting for tonight's session of Bluebeard's Bride, I was thinking something in a kind of like 19th century England kind of way, kind of a little bit of the Daniel Radcliffe version of Woman in Black. Does that sound good? Cool. Okay.
That's great.
So bearing that in mind, in terms of setting, we will now go through and I'm going to ask you some questions about the bride and about the preparation of your wedding. So, animus. What are the bride's hands like?
They are. She has long fingers. Not too. Her fingernails aren't too long, and her hands aren't really all that calloused. But she has done at least some work in her life. They aren't completely soft and spotless either.
So how has she managed to maintain that softness when she's so desperately poor? Maybe
she doesn't do work that's all too menial. Like,
oh, so she's slovenly.
Maybe she don't have maybe there isn't a farm she's working on, but they're looking for handouts or something like that.
Okay, so do people consider the bride lazy then?
Probably, or possibly.
Okay. What weakness do you give away when others hold your hand?
Yeah, I think she is not too comfortable with being touched for a long time. So, like, holding her hand briefly is not a problem, but she gets a bit nervous if it holds on for a prolonged moment.
So like a skittishness.
Yeah.
Okay. Where did that come from, do you think?
Maybe there is some issues with distrusting people.
Okay.
Or maybe the people in her village are just unkind, and that's what she's used to.
Okay. What are you leaving behind from your provincial life to marry Bluebeard?
So she has siblings, like maybe 2 younger brothers she's leaving behind.
Okay. And which of the brothers is your favorite, and which of them don't you like?
Gilbert is my favorite. He's kind and artistic soul. Well, damn it. I need another country English name if one of you has.
Henry?
Sure. Yeah, Henry is. I don't like him as much. Of course, he's still my brother, but I can see him turning into a rough man in his older life. He is already hanging around with some farmhands who are teaching him all the wrong things.
Okay, so some of the men that you're already afraid of, some of the men that make you take your hand away from other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of the men who will label me lazy because I'm not working the fields.
Okay. I want to say as well, by the way, that I'm GMing semi in character, so if I seem like I'm being kind of a dick, that I'm kind of doing that on purpose. It's nothing personal.
Okay.
Whereas normally I would be much more of just me, but the groundskeeper is sort of a character in itself.
Okay.
Lauren has just put in the chat, sure. Okay. The next question is, what gift, when you first met Bluebeard, what loving gesture did he make that won you over?
He offered me a ride in his carriage.
Okay, what was his carriage like? What did it smell like?
It smelled exotic, like some incense I only know from church, but it's probably coming from expensive colonial cigars he has been smoking in there.
Okay. And what did you hear people whispering about you as you got out of the cart afterwards?
Yeah, some jealous things, like that's they knew I have been looking for handouts before, but this is a new low.
Okay. What gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose this?
He seemed like a very cultured man, which is why I gave him a book.
What was the book about?
I think poetry. Some pastoral poetry about how beautiful the countryside is.
Had you read it yourself, or did you just want to seem intelligent?
I have read it myself. It's not like I just went and bought a book. It's something that I've had for a while.
Okay. Oh, so it was your book.
Yeah.
Did it smell like you?
A bit, if you have a really good nose, maybe.
You did notice that as you gave it to him, he did take a sort of, he didn't even look at it, he didn't read it, he just did inhale it. Next question. Do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions? And why is that?
No, sure, I trust him. He's a man of culture and he will take me away from this terrible place.
Okay. Okay, next up we have Mother. So, Mother, what is the bride's figure like? Owen?
I found you guys. I think the bride's figure, well, she's a bit too tall.
Okay.
And she's a bit too broad on the shoulders.
Okay.
And a bit too narrow on the hip.
Is this what she says about it, or is this what people say about it? About her?
I think this is something she's internalized.
Okay.
This is something that she perceives to be true.
Okay. And what do you others wish was different about her figure? So that implies that there's something different than the things that she's internalized herself.
My mother wishes that I was broader in the hip to ease childbirth.
Mm-hmm.
My father wishes that I was a bit shorter, so I would be less intimidating to other gentlemen.
Okay.
And sadly, these days, this is something Henry's also teased me about, because I can see him going the way of my father.
And what's that way?
Sometimes people, well, the townspeople are cruel. The people who can be cruel are still those closest to you.
Okay. When was the first time that you found that you intimidated men?
It was really silly. There was this dance being hosted for a harvest festival, and I think I was about 15. Like I just sort of had my final growth spurt, and I was a good head and a half, if not more, taller than all of the young boys around. And every time I tried to go and ask one of them to dance, because none of them would approach me, they just snickered and laughed at me and turned me away. And that was the first time I intimidated.
Okay, so you knew
man.
that they wouldn't approach you, even though that they were snickering and laughing. You knew that they wouldn't approach you because they were scared of you. Okay.
Yeah.
When you first met, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
Let me just check. The book of poetry. I can't look that back in. Let me find my notes. Yes. So I have a fond memory of after I gifted him this book of poetry that smells a little bit like me. He and I lay down underneath a tree in the dappled sunlight in a lazy afternoon.
Oh.
And he read me my favorite poem from this book.
Okay. What did you notice in the poem that you hadn't previously noticed when you were reading it to yourself? What did his reading bring to it?
I think his reading brought to it a rich sense of life and luxury, and like just the timbre in his voice really evoked the imagery of fruit and summer and all of the metaphor that was happening in this poem that I loved so dearly.
Okay. What are you leaving behind from your provincial life to marry Bluebeard?
I am leaving behind my best and closest friend.
Who is your best and closest friend?
Her name is Amelia, and she and I sometimes work when I have to work on the fields, and I intend to write to her when I leave. I promised her I would write to her when I left, so she and I could still remain the closest of friends.
Okay. And what secret have the two of you never told anyone else?
That she is secretly in love with me.
Has that been spoken?
Not out loud. Only in quiet gestures.
Are you also in love with her?
I tell myself I'm not, but I have suspicions.
Okay. What gift did you give to Bluebeard before your wedding? And why did you choose it?
I gifted him a handkerchief for with my initials on it. This is kind of a joke. For he is always getting dirty and into mischief, and he's a very rugged man. And this is my way of helping when I'm not around to make sure he stays clean.
Okay. Did you sew the letters on yourself?
Yes, yeah.
That would have surprised the villagers. They didn't assume that you knew how to sew, even.
No, indeed.
Okay. Virgin. What do the bride's eyes look like?
They're really like clear green.
Okay. What sort of are they green the whole way around, or is there a little imperfection in them?
Well, they're the kind of green where that like there's like in some lights it's not people don't notice the color, but like if you see it from the right angle, it's just like, well, your eyes are really green. I think they're like
almost unnaturally so.
Yeah. It's a little strange.
How do others know what you want? How do others know you want them when they gaze into your eyes?
I think
That is the
I
most
think
loaded question.
I'm the kind of person who, if somebody looks, at least, especially like if a man would look me in the eye, I would look down. But I'm also so curious that I will look up a little too soon.
Okay. What are you leaving behind from your provincial life in order to marry Bluebeard?
I mean, I'm giving up my home, like the area where I'm go to explore, the places that I go to read, the tree I sit under on summer days.
Familiarity.
Hmm?
Have you ever left the village before?
Yes, once.
What was terrible about that?
Well, I went to town and I felt like everyone was looking at me because I looked
Poor.
yeah.
Very, very poor and out of place.
Yes.
What was it about their clothes in comparison to yours that made you look so ridiculously like you shouldn't be there?
I mean, I had this dress that I got from my cousin, and it was a little too big. And I never really noticed before because I mean, people don't notice that much that where I'm from, but there everyone had they had dresses that were they were fitting around their body, and mine was it was not like theirs, and I looked old.
Okay, so like you were trying to hide yourself. Mother, before we go on, I forgot to ask you: do you trust your generous husband Bluebeard, or do you hold on suspicions, and why is that?
I think I trust him. He has that warmth and summery brightness to him beneath the rather dark, tall, mysterious persona he gives off. I know that he's different to my father. That stupid Henry.
Different to your father and Henry, absolutely. Yeah, he's got, as you say, he's that tall he's the tall in the dark, but also the warmth. So it's kind of like the shade of a tree in summer.
Exactly. I think it's a line from the poem that I love so much.
Okay. Right, so back to the Virgin. When you first met, what love and gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
He took me to the city to go to a theater.
Oh, so was that the time that you went there and felt so horribly out of place?
Yes.
But how did it still win you over then?
Because he told me I was beautiful when I felt insecure. Yeah.
So you shouldn't listen to all those other people. The only person that you need to listen to is him. You don't need anyone else. You just need to stay with him, and he will explain everything to you.
Yeah, and oddly enough, that comforted me.
Okay. What was the play about?
It was a romance, maybe like something from Shakespeare or something.
Okay. And what gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose this?
I gave him a flower I pressed in the poetry book that he read from. It was a white rose. It had like a sprinkle of my blood on it because I cut myself when I tried to get it on the thorns.
Why do you think that the flower was more beautiful after you'd killed it and pressed it than it was growing in the field?
Because because it reminded me of a moment that we had together, and that's more beautiful than just a flower.
Okay, so the crystallization of the moment is what appealed to you.
Mm-hmm.
And do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you hold ongoing suspicions, and why?
I think I want to trust him, but I can't help but think that he's not better than any other man that has hurt me.
He's not better than any other man. Okay, so you want to trust him, but you don't. That's all right?
Mm.
Okay, cool. Okay, moving on to the witch. Witch, what is the bride's hair like?
I think it's raven black, just jet black. Very, I think it's long. I think it falls in some like very gentle curls as well. You know, I mean, we talked about her being incredibly tall, and I think this kind of accentuates that, if anything.
What is like you to wear your hair?
I think for practicality's sake, you know, I think I'm always told to put it up, to you know, tie it back, to do something to keep it out of the way, but I rarely listen to that.
Okay, but quite often people will still kind of do it for you. They kind of grab it and pull it back back for you. How does that make you feel when you feel someone else putting their hands on your hair, given that we know that you don't like to be touched?
Yeah, I think I have the immediate revulsion of the touch, but I feel like it's also more of like a symbolic, like other people just trying to control me, and that makes me feel very, you know, I'm very tall in many circumstances, but I think that makes me feel very small.
Okay. What do you tell yourself when people are trying to control you?
I think I just remind myself that I'm strong, that this place isn't going to, you know, this is my home. There are many things I love about it, but it's not going to define my life. And I think it's just a reminder that there's bigger things than this that keeps me going sometimes.
Okay, so the power that you want, you're going to get from going to Bluebeard's house. He's your ticket out of here, yeah?
In part, yeah.
Okay. What are you leaving behind from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
Let's see. We already established that we can read. I think one of the things I'm leaving behind is probably one of the few things that I'm really going to miss is I think there's a lady in the village who teaches lessons, and I think, you know, teaches, taught me how to read, taught me some basic mathematics, you know, stuff like that. And I think the joy of that learning is one of the few places where I feel free. And leaving that behind is probably the biggest regret that this aspect of the bride has, at least.
Okay, she has been, the last few times that you've gone there, her name is Lisbeth, and she has been getting increasingly forgetful every time that you've gone there, and you've noticed that she's been coughing and kind of coughing up blood and trying to hide it in her handkerchief. What do you think's wrong with her, and how long do you think she's going to live after you leave?
I think she has some kind of wasting disease that's just, you know, I probably don't know what it is, but I know that it's kind of a progressive thing that's not like, you know, not something that's really curable. And I think I know that it's not going to be long after we live, because I may, you know, she may send me out, you know, as part of my, you know, my schooling. You know, we're of very little means. You know, I think I perform maybe some errands for her, like going a little out into the forest and getting some herbs or whatnot that she requires, that she, you know, will make into a tea or something.
Okay.
So I think I've been kind of trying to, you know, through that's been helping her symptoms a little bit. But I know that if she can't find someone else who's willing to do this for her, she's going to wither away relatively soon.
So you're leaving her to wither in order to chase the life that you want?
Yes.
Okay. When you first met, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
I have a question before I can answer that. We've established that we're very tall. What is our height compared to Bluebeard?
He is still taller than you.
He is still taller. Okay.
Yes. It's like you you can't quite make it out, but you just know that whenever he's in the room, he is the tallest thing there. It doesn't matter if someone else told you that they were like 6'6".
Yeah.
Suddenly he walks in and he's taller, even if he was only previously taller than someone who was 5'8". Yeah.
I think it was, you know, when we went to town, we went to see a play, correct? Is that what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Is that, yeah, I think he bought me a pair of heels. This is something that I've never had anyone interested in me wearing before. You know, they're intimidated by my height. He wanted me to accentuate it. And that made me feel good about myself and who I am.
So he wanted to encourage you in your desire, basically. So he wanted to encourage the things which other people find intimidating about you.
Yeah. He told me to, you know, basically encouraged me to set apart, you know, like my difference, you know, what makes me different, to actually accentuate it, to bring it out as opposed to hide it. Yeah.
Okay. And as he did that, he made you walk around, and you never walked in anything like this before. And there were this kind of these long boots with these huge heels on them,
mm-hmm.
and you could feel yourself clip-clopping through the streets, and you kind of sound like a goat as you're going over. But he was whispering in your ear as you were going through, as he holding your hand. And he's one of the few people you do let hold your hand. And he looks at all the women that are walking past, and he said, "You see how much better you are than them? You see how much greater you are than them? You see how they're nothing? Do you see that?" What gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose this?
Okay, so in the book, we gave him a dead rose, a rose that is kind of frozen in time. I also gave him a small wooden box with 2 dahlia bulbs in it, flower bulbs. And these are, you know, so a dead flower and 2 flowers yet to live. And dahlias, I actually just looked this up, symbolically are about, you know, when it comes to weddings, are about commitment and bonds that last forever. So I gave this as kind of a symbolic gift of, you know, plant this in our garden, and it's symbolic of our future bond that's just starting here.
Okay. And he smiled when you gave that to him and said exactly that back to you. As if he was kind of reading it, as if it's something that he's read in his, and he sort of mentioned casually that he's got this great library, and just you can't help but think about all the knowledge that you can gain once you get there. Do you trust your generous husband, Bluebeard, or do you find unkind suspicions?
She tells herself that she trusts him. Yes. I think she hears the whispers, you know, the worries about, you know, that other people have of like, oh no, that's Bluebeard, and there may be rumors floating around. But I think especially with the way that he's treated me, I try and kind of shush that away into a back corner of my mind, and decide to believe that I trust him.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So you've chosen to trust him. You've chosen to ignore,
yes.
Which means that you actually hold unkind suspicions.
Yeah, sorry, I know it's a little complicated, but yes, I would say
no, it's good. You are indulging in self-deception. It is
yes.
Okay, we are now going to go to sisterly bonds, so we find out what you think about each other. So, Animus, you hold yourself apart from your sisters, but somebody is the only one who soothes you. Explain the time when they calmed your rage. So, which of your sisters soothes you?
I think the witch is soothing in her. She is knowledgeable. She is the one who pushed us to learn how to read, and she. When the rage overtakes me, the witch is the one who reminds me that we also have to trust in reason if we want to get out of our situation. And reason and culture did get us in to this marriage with Bluebeard.
Okay, and what was a specific time that you flung off the handle, being hysterical, and the witch told you that no, you need to bring that back, that no one likes a loud woman, no one wants to hear your opinion?
Yeah, yeah, some of the farmhands were taunting me about how useless I am not working the fields that day while they were carrying rocks around, and I would have confronted them, but the witch reminded me that we indeed did do something this day, and that's valuable, and that is gaining skills and knowledge.
So you were getting furious with them, and then she just kind of whispered in your ear, "Don't listen to them. Just little people in little houses like maggots, small, blind, and worthless."
Seems soothing.
But you're Animus. You are envious of another of your sisters. Explain why you can never compare to them.
Yeah, I think I might be envious of the mother.
Okay, why so? Why can you not compare to the mother?
Well, people listen to me because I'm forceful, because I project strength and anger, but they actually want to listen to the mother. She doesn't have to force them. It just comes natural to her. What I have to take with my
Sure. So
with all my
people
will.
hear you, but they hear you like they hear a window shattering or a door slamming. They don't actually. They're not paying attention to what you're saying. They just can hear the noise, and you can see them staring at you. Whereas the mother can talk and can make her point calmly, and she can make her point without raising her voice, but with just that little bit of tension in it that you know you should listen. Okay. On to the mother. Mother, you know best, and you try to guide your wayward sisters, but one of your sisters irritates you with their obstinance. Who is it? And explain a time when they undermined your authority.
Oh, good question. I think similarly, this is the Animus.
Mm-hmm. What did they do to undermine you?
Well, for starters, if she could just learn how to use her words and not her actions, that would be much appreciated. Slamming doors is so childish, and breaking glass is even more childish than that. So I think when I was just doing my best to help her when she was having a row with someone, she didn't listen to me. I told her to take a deep breath and to think logically. And instead, she picked up a cup and hurled it through the window when she was fighting with Henry.
Okay.
And the glass broke, and I got in trouble. And if she'd just listened to me, things would have been fine.
And who was passing outside at the time who was struck by the shattering glass?
Oh, I feel really bad about this because it was definitely Gilbert.
It was Gilbert, the favourite brother. Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! And he lost his eye as well. It was really nasty.
Yes, I will never forgive. I blame myself, to be honest, for not being able to help her.
Okay. And you trust one of your sisters to have your back. Explain a time when they supported you in your time of need.
The witch.
Okay.
The witch is someone I trust to always have my back, despite the fact that she is filled with lies.
Perhaps because she's filled with lies, if you know someone's always going to be lying to you, then you know you can trust them not to tell the truth.
Exactly.
Is that also what you tell yourself about Bluebeard?
Indeed. Funny how those two things work together. She taught me how to lie.
Oh,
I've always been very honest and straightforward, and I believe that it is good to be blunt and true, but I, with her help, have come to understand the benefit of lying. And I recall a time when I got into trouble and I could feel the truth like sticking in my throat.
Mm-hmm. Like you're gonna vomit up. Like it's kind of there and it's coming and you just know it's gonna all come spilling out.
Yeah, but I felt her hand on my shoulder and she told me to take a step back and that she was going to handle this one. And so I swallowed the truth.
Okay.
And instead spit out some lies, and that worked great.
And what was the lie that you told to Amelia about why you were marrying Bluebeard?
Oh. That I love him from the bottom of my heart, and he's the only one for me.
Virgin, you trust your sisters for the most part, but one of your sisters blackened your innocence with her every word. Explain how she became your enemy.
Well, there is an obvious choice, which is probably like the witch again. But I thought, well, sure, it is the witch for sure.
Okay.
She whispers things in my ears about I can get what I want to if I can only do if I only take the dress on my shoulder a little bit lower, maybe he will take me to the theater.
Well, and he did, so she was right.
She was. But it feels
Why
wrong.
did that make you so angry?
Because it makes me feel like I'm dragged into to Bluebeard's like embrace, and I'm not really sure I wanted that. I mean, I'm not the kind of girl that is together with a man like him.
And yet here you are. You say that. You say that to yourself, and you keep repeating it over like a mantra. But you are. Because here you are, you're at the theatre, and you're wearing that dress that the witch has made you wear, and you're here with Bluebeard, and he's a man that people talk about. He's not some blushing Prince Charming. He's very much mad, mad, bad, and dangerous to know. And so you blame her for getting you into this.
I mean, it's her fault.
It is her fault. It's absolutely her fault. One of your sisters helps you play tricks on the others. Explain the time when she was your ally in mischief.
It's definitely the animus.
Okay.
Her anger is a useful ally. I think it's like one time where there was someone talking behind my back, some of the boys talking behind my back, and I was so angry at them. But the witch whispered in my ear that they're lesser than me, I shouldn't care. But the animus did not care about that.
When the animus is action.
I think he walked over to one of them and slapped his face.
Okay. Do you think of the animus as a man? Do you think of it as a man inside you?
No,
Okay.
I don't. I just associate slapping someone in the face with my father.
Oh, okay. How badly did it hurt you when the farmhand hit you back?
Not very much. I'm used to being hit.
Bit dark. Okay. And which? Your sisters are not nearly as important as power, but one of them is a useful tool. Explain how they helped you in your pursuit of blasphemous craft.
Okay. I'm going to go with the virgin for this.
Oh, okay.
I think I already mentioned that I've been gathering herbs from the forest for our teacher. Was it Lisbeth, I believe you said?
Yeah.
Lisbeth, yeah. And I think it was the virgin's kind of sweetness and charm that allowed everyone to kind of assume that that's all we're out there doing. I think my interest in plants and stuff is goes a little deeper and is a little more twisted than that. Probably, in addition to gathering what Lisbeth needed, I think it's an issue of experimenting with the properties of some of the different herbs out there. I probably have animals that I test, little concoctions on and
and
like that. And
the stray kitten that you fed the mushrooms to, how long did it take to die?
A delicious 2 hours.
And how badly did you feel afterwards? Did you feel anything at all?
I did. I think it was a combination of that, of both glee and regret and embarrassment. I think it was a very mixed, kind of stressful feeling about that.
Okay. One of your sisters draws an evil to her. Explain what you've done to keep that evil at bay.
I'm gonna have to go with the mother. I think this ties actually into what Lauren said exactly. I mean, I feel like it's the directness, the kind of used to being in charge and stuff. I feel like that's very much not what we have needed in many instances, and especially going forward, I think that's particularly dangerous around Bluebeard. So it's just been an insinuation into her thoughts, okay, a lie here instead of a truth, or let's be quiet here and do something behind the scenes rather than confront this openly, so I think it's been that.
So it's the mother's fault that your father beat you so badly. It was because she's too direct. It's that she stood up to him when she should have just said, yes, Papa.
Exactly. There are other ways to get your way than directly challenging. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. That is everyone's sisterly bonds and questions. That was dark as fuck, everybody. Well done. We are now going to take a little break once I read through all the notes that you've given me. And if you have a look at the rest of your sheet, you have stats. So one of your stats is filled in to start with, and the other ones fill out with a 0 and a -1. They will help you when you roll. And you also have to choose a face move. This is like a playbook move in other Apocalypse World games. So you only get one of them. And you can either tell us what it is, in which case we'll do that after the break, or you can keep it to yourself and only bring it out as and when you wish to. Okay, so we will break now for 5 minutes. We'll come back at 10 o'clock at my end, and we'll probably play then for like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. Does that sound good? Cool. See you in 5 minutes, guys.
Yeah, there's one face that's a very obvious choice for the kind of virgin I've portrayed so far.
Yeah, are you going to tell us what it is, or are you going to save it back?
It's the victim.
I do love that one. Let me have a... so do you want to read out what the victim is?
When you caress a horror by inviting it to come closer, mark 1 trauma to take a 10+ instead of rolling.
Okay. It's not a bad idea. In the best possible way.
Yes.
Jesse, do you know yours?
I'm kind of torn between the medium and the viper. I guess I'm like, is the only question I guess I have, but I mean, I can see there's an obvious benefit to the medium. I guess having not played this before, I'm not sure, other than just like good fiction, what the viper would actually help with. Does it do anything super useful, or is it just mostly a flavor, very dark kind of thing?
It's potentially a way of escaping a room without proposing a truth.
Okay. You know, I'm going to take that. I'm taking the viper.
You're taking the viper, so you could literally talk someone to death. Mother, have you chosen a face move?
Yeah, I think I might go for a martyr.
A martyr, okay. And do you want to read out what the martyr does?
I would love to. You will take your love to the ends of this world. When you offer forgiveness for a sister's sins, mark trauma 1 for 2 to heal that sister.
Oh, okay. And finally, the animus. What are you going to go for?
I'm taking the shield. When one of your sisters marks trauma, explain to her how the trauma she's experiencing is her fault. Then ask if she believes you. If she believes you, she marks 1 less trauma. If she rejects your explanation, mark 1 trauma as you experience the shame of your own impotence.
It's such a horrible move, that one. Just straight across the board. Okay. So just a couple of last things mechanically. When you take trauma, mark that off. That heals. It comes back and forth. So I'll let you guys track that. When you get to 5 trauma, you shatter. At which point, you are no longer part of your sisters. You're no longer part of the bride. You're separated from your sisters. And there's a little kind of ritual phrase that we read out together. And from that point on, you will be assisting me in creating horrors for the bride. We will also be collecting, as we go through the rooms, you'll be collecting tokens of either affection or mistrust. Tokens of faithfulness or mistrust, sorry. And when you get to 3 in either one of those, we will get to the final room and you will find the little closet door at the end of the gallery. You don't have to take a token from every room you're in, but if you don't do that, you have to escape in some other way. And also for kind of timing purposes, it's kind of probably helpful if you do take a token from every room you're in, unless it doesn't make sense in the fiction. If you take a token of faithfulness, you are 1 step closer to proving that your trust in your generous husband Bluebeard is well placed. It's not. He's a super bad guy. But that is what you think. That's how you're justifying it to yourself. And when you do that, you heal trauma. So if you trust your husband, which is a horrible idea, you feel better about yourself. If you mistrust your husband, if you take a token of distrust from any of the rooms, you take 1 trauma, and that is all of you take a trauma. Unless you've passed the ring, which is one of the ring moves, in which case you don't take the trauma that turn. So any questions mechanically?
This talks about when you forgive offer forgiveness versus the sins. Is sins like a defined term, or is it more like a fictional?
No, it's just a fictional thing. So
Okay,
if
cool.
there's any time that you want to say I forgive you, like if someone does something horribly wrong, if they make a bad choice and it's led you down a bad way, and you forgive them, then that works.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Sounds amazing.
It's all of the moves are so horrible. It's a horrible game in a good way. Okay.
Can I? Sorry, one quick thing. If possible, I think I'll change from the Viper to the medium, since if the Viper is more about like avoiding a room, it just doesn't make sense in a short, compressed time like this.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, can you read out what the medium does then, please?
Yes. Spill your blood to commune with the horrors of the room. Mark 1 trauma, and the groundskeeper will share whisperings about what happened here and might ask you a question or two. Answer them.
Okay, so just like you spilled your blood on that white rose that you gave to Bluebeard.
That sounds like a great idea. It's something you should do all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Your wedding is celebrated with great pomp and ceremony, and it's celebrated in the little village hall of your village, in the little village chapel, and it is packed. It's packed people. Like, this is a fairly godless village. People have stopped coming here, and the roof was leaking. There were more rats there than there were parishioners, and Bluebeard came in, waltzed in with all his money, and he's done the place up, and it is surrounded in entirely in white roses, just like the one that you gave him. And that incense, that smell that you smelled when you were first in his carriage, is just everywhere, just like wafting through. There's just clouds of it everywhere. He's paid for the roof to be redone with gold, which doesn't seem very practical as a roofing material. Like, if anything lands on it, it's gonna just crack, but it looks beautiful. And you can see the jealousy and the hatred on all the villagers' faces. And how do you feel about that?
Specifically about which part? I'm sorry, if you could repeat the last
about how do you feel about how everyone is looking at you?
Yeah, I think smug. Okay. I think it's a finally just, this is a very public proof of how much better I actually am than the rest.
It is. It's exactly what it is. And you are going to get away from here. You're going to get away from this provincial little place, this tiny little place in the woods, and you're going to go to the big city with Bluebeard. And as you're going off in his carriage later that day, it strikes you that you don't actually know where he lives. You're going off to live with this man who you barely know. You've met him a few times, and you don't know where he lives. So you're expecting to go off to the city, and then it doesn't. The carriage turns away from the city and away from the village and further into the woods. And you are further away from the city than you've ever been, and you can feel the forest just looming up around you. And you've never gone this far into the forest yourself. You've always stayed on the edges, in the places where there aren't wolves and dangerous men. And you begin to think that you're just going to live in a hut somewhere, like maybe he's just a charlatan, when this great mansion looms up out of nowhere. And suddenly you're going through these cast iron gates, which swing open. Like, you're sure there must have been a servant there? You didn't see a servant who pulled them open, or the one that set them clattering after you either, but there must have been a servant there. And you pull up over the gravel, and the noise of the horses' hooves and the wheels turning on the gravel is deafeningly loud, because it's the only sound you can hear. There is no other sound other than the ones that you and the people around you, which is currently just Bluebeard and his carriagemen, are making. And you go inside. He leads you inside, and he kind of sweeps you in. You feel his hand on your hand, and Virgin, how does that make you feel?
I think I'm like I have like this little I tense up a little because I didn't expect it because I was so like entranced by the occasion.
So you were entranced and you kind of didn't notice it, and so you don't notice actually until he lets go of your hand. So you haven't realised that he's holding your hand, which is not something you would normally let someone do until he's let go of it. And he stands up stiff and straight and enters the house. And waiting there on a desk, as if it's been placed there just for him to see, just as soon as he gets in, is a little envelope. And he opens it, and his face turns from the very charming man that you've seen so far, even though he's got a little bit of darkness, a little mood, something that reminds you of your dad about him every so often. And he just goes kind of like stony cold. He says, "My darling, I am so sorry. I'm being called away on urgent business. I know it's our wedding night. I know you've been looking forward to this. Don't worry. We will get back to that. But tonight I must go away. Here." And he hands you his keys. To you, the witch. You start with the ring. Amuse yourself. Look around your home. This is your home now. This is everything that I can give you. Everything in this house is yours for the taking. All of the servants are yours to do with what you wish. My grand libraries, the music room, any of these rooms that you go into, you may. Except for the room, it's just a small closet at the end of the hall, the farthest gallery. Don't think about it. Just don't worry about that closet at all. But do not go in there. And he strokes the key, the small key. All of the other keys are far more elaborate. They're all borderline bizarre, actually, these keys are on this ring. But there's just this very small, very plain gold key at the end. This is the key that opens the closet. Do not go into the closet. That is the one thing I forbid you to do. I will be back as soon as I can. It may be some days. I'm so sorry. It may be weeks. And he kisses you goodbye. Oh no, we've lost Mikael. Hopefully he'll be back. He kisses you goodbye, and you can feel the roughness of his stubble up against you, and it kind of scrapes you. And then he's gone, and the door slams shut behind you, and you are left alone in the hall. The hall is huge and cold. There are stairs going up, which turn off to halls on either side. And there is a ring, a key on the key ring, which attracts your attention. What does it look like?
The ring?
The key ring.
The key. Okay, so the specific key. Okay.
Yeah, all of the keys are quite. Yeah. They're weird. All of them. There's something odd about all of them. What's the deal with this ring?
I think this one is the exact jet black of our hair, with kind of like angular Gothic styling to it. Just very, it just has a very intense black, kind of look to it. I don't think there's any other color to it at all. Just black metal.
Okay, so almost like you can't see it so much as you see everything around it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. And you turn and you see a door at the top of the stairs, and it is painted in just this utter this paint so black it's like the utter absence of light. And there's a stained glass window which is shining down onto it, except for it's shining down onto just around the edges of it, and the light is just being sucked in. And before you know it, you're up the stairs, and you open the door. You put the key into the lock, open the door, and push the door open. And inside there is just the darkest room that you've ever seen. You open it and you expect some of that light to spill in, but nothing comes out. It's just utter blackness in there. And you go in, and the door locks behind you, slams behind you, as if the gust of wind must have caught it. What do you do?
I think the first thing is to spin around and rush back to the door right there, you know, kind of hands up against it, feeling for any kind of, you know, latch or anything like that that would let me out, which I assume I don't find, right?
Mm-hmm. No. The door appears to be shut, and you can't get it back. You can't get the key back in there.
Yeah. Okay. I think just with my hands, I start to kind of like feel along the wall to the, you know, the right side, heading over that direction, and just feeling, okay, do I feel any kind of like, you know, lantern or anything of use here? And I'm just kind of like feeling my way to see if there's a light or something that I can use to illuminate the room.
Okay. There is on the wall. There is you flick it, and there is a light switch, which is rare. It's a very new invention. And there's this little flickering light that comes on, and you see that the room is filled with books. It is just piles and piles of books. They haven't been. Bluebeard promised you these extensive libraries, and this is not extensive libraries. This looks like a graveyard of books. This looks like it's stuff that's ready to be burnt in a bonfire. What do you do?
I think this is incredibly exciting for the witch. I mean, it was a momentary fear of the darkness and being shut in here, but all of a sudden, you know, just the thrill of knowledge, the thrill of learning something, and just these books, these are so old and decrepit. There's no way that I could have ever seen any of them before, probably, right? I mean, they're so different than anything. So I think it's an immediate kind of I think I start walking through them, kind of just like touching, you know, the spines of the books with my hands as I walk by, you know, probably like dust coming off on my fingers. Mm-hmm. And I think I think at some point I stop, you know, when I find, you know, maybe a particular, you know, like a really, you know, like a red leather bound, you know, old decrepit book, and I probably pull it out and I try to look through it. But at the moment, I'm just kind of lost in looking at these books.
Okay, and as you're lost and you're looking through the books, you notice that there are bookshelves in here, but all of the books have been pulled off them and they've been thrown to the floor. Okay. But it kind of looks like they've all the bookshelf. One of the bookshelves it was kind of like attached to the wall with hinges so that it could take the weight of the books, but it's been wrenched, and it must have taken some sort of violent force to wrench it forward, and that's what spilled the books. And if someone wrenched the bookshelf with that much force, and someone was perhaps standing in the way, that would be enough to crush them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as you're thinking that and looking over this book, you hear someone say, "Oh, that one's not for you, sweetie." And you turn and you see there's a librarian standing in the room. He is wearing a tweed suit, and he is wearing glasses. And you don't know how long he's been standing there. He must have been there the whole time, which means that he must have been standing there in the dark, right? And he says, that's far too complicated for a little thing like you. Why don't you give me that book back?"
I think I hold it tightly to my chest and say say that, you know, something to the effect that my husband told me that all of this is mine. Who are you to tell me that this isn't? You know.
Your husband told you that, did he?
Yes.
Let me explain to you, young madam, Miss, the longest in a line of young madams in here, who I am. I'm the librarian, and this is my domain. You don't own anything in here, and you can't understand. Can you even read, girl?
I think my face blushes, and but with like a blush that's like angry, and I think I say, of course I can. I flip open this book, and I think as I'm turning the pages to try and do it, I probably like cut the tip of my finger with like get a paper cut and kind of suck on it, and I think a bit of the blood like maybe even drips into that page of the book. And I'm actually trying to engage my witch's move here, the medium.
Absolutely does.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll mark a trauma for that. And you want me to read the move, or?
Yeah, read the move out just as a
okay.
reminder.
Spill your blood to commune with the horrors of the room. Mark 1 trauma, and the gatekeeper will share whisperings about what happened here, and might ask you a question or two. Answer them.
Okay. So you spill your blood as you get a little paper cut, and it's not just your finger; it's right across your hand, and it's like a way deeper gash than should be made by something as simple as paper. And you look down at where the blood's fallen, and as much as you didn't want to admit it, the librarian was right. You couldn't understand the words that were there before. They were in a language that you didn't know. But you look down, and it says, "He was so angry. He wrenched at the walls. He smashed the lights. He pulled the bookcase. Oh, I was so silly to be underneath it. Oh, how the books hurt when they fell." And you notice that as you look down at the books, that there is a hand poking out from underneath them, and it's poking out, and it's just about that much. And you didn't see it before because your eyes were still adjusting, and it is snapped at about here in sort of a weird unnatural angle going back.
Sister, don't. It's not real. You know what happens when you spill blood. You should have been more careful. It's your fault. But we will get through this.
Did you just see the hands twitch? Sorry, Animus, carry on. No, of course you didn't see the hand twitch.
Yeah, of course. Ignore it. It's not here. Just show this librarian who's boss. And leave the anger to me next time. I can handle it. And I'm trying to do my move where I blame her for the trauma she experienced.
Okay, do you believe her?
I think in normal circumstances the witch wouldn't, but I think this is all so strange and upsetting at the moment that I think yes. I think that a comforting voice in my own head. I believe, yeah.
So you heal that passes for comforting.
Yeah.
You heal that trauma. Okay. Do you want to? What are you doing in here? What is the bride doing? Does anyone, the Virgin or the Mother, do they want to do anything in this room? So the witch is the only one that can do min moves at the minute, but the Virgin or the Mother can do maiden moves. Virgin, what are you doing?
I think I'm like looking around, looking at the back at the hand and looking up at the librarian and at the books and what's going on. Trying to understand if it's a trick of my mind or if it is actually happening.
Okay, so you're investigating the hand itself, the hand that's buried underneath the books.
I'm angling for when I take stock of a tense situation.
Okay. Can you read that move out to me?
When you take stock at a tense situation, ask one. It's the maiden move there.
Okay. Ask away.
What does the place demand of the bride?
The librarian steps in your way, and he's sort of very obviously stepping in the way of your view of this hand. And he says, "You didn't see that. What do you think you saw? You didn't see a thing. I think what you should do now is turn around and leave and forget that you ever saw. Here." And he takes a book from behind him. and it is a book of fairy tales. And you've seen this before, but it's the one by Bowdler. So it's been literally Bowdlerized. Basically all of the good bits have been trimmed out. It's something for little girls. And he actually says that to you. He says, so all of anything that could harm you, anything that could lead to impure thoughts, has just been cut away like meat. Just don't think about it. Just take this and read it. Maybe sit down over in the corner. Just read that forever.
I think I kind of almost ripped the book out of his hands a little too forcefully, and like look at it. We should really. We didn't. I really want to read this book right now.
And Mother, what are you doing?
I think Mother steps behind the witch, steps behind us. And despite the brides being quite tall, Mother is always taller still. And she leans into the witch's ear and she says, "Come. You're smarter than this. Why would Bluebeard want to keep this item if it speaks truths of what may or may not have happened here, if it is indeed true?"
Okay, that sounds, Mother, like you are investigating a strange object.
Yeah. Specifically, why did Bluebeard keep this account of?
Why did he keep this book of? Oh, okay. Why did he keep the account of what has happened?
Yeah.
This is. This is a novel that was being written by by a previous wife of his, and you look down and you recognize the name, and it was an author that you read several times when you were at Lisbeth, and Lisbeth would read this woman's name. Well, it was actually, she was writing under a male pseudonym. She was writing under the name of Munro. But you knew in a kind of George Eliot way that she was actually a woman. And he has kept this because he likes to read it and remember all of the things that they did together and all of the things that he did to her. Which, do you want to try and get out of this room, or do you want to try and propose a truce? A truth that's meant to be not a truce, which is what I said.
I think. I think I'll propose a truth. Yeah, I think. So I just want to make clear this novel, this that we're talking about, is that which book is that? Is that the one that the librarian just tried to hand us, or the one that I originally had, or a different one?
No, this is the one that you originally had. The librarian is trying to get it away from you and is trying to give you the book of children's fairy tales, like the most Disney-fied version of these fairy tales.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll hold extra. I think I'll, we haven't taken the fairy tale book, have we? Nobody grabbed it from him?
No, he's still proffering out to you.
Okay.
And as he's getting closer and like, "Madam, I insist you take this," and he's kind of thrusting it towards you, and he's pushing it up against you and pushing it up against your breast.
Yeah, I'm going to use the propose a truth mood here. I think it's going to be a first. I'll he's shoving that at me. I think I will actually smack that book out of his hands if I can. Just kind of like swing it and clutch the one that I have. That with my bleeding hand. Kind of bleeding onto this book. And I think it'll get
yourself with violence.
I think it's more just kind of a symbolic thing. It could be, if you'd like me to go that move. I wasn't really trying to do violence to him in any way. Just knock the book away.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think, let me take a look at the move real quick here.
Propose a truth. So you can either propose a truth that that Bluebeard is innocent and that your your faith in him is rewarded, or
Yeah.
that he is guilty of some dark deed, and that his that your mistrust in him is well placed.
Yeah, I think I will say that no, I believe that something terrible happened here. I can tell that you want me to leave, but this bookcase, this mess, he murdered her here, didn't she? And I think because did we have the name of the author?
The name of the author is Jack Monroe.
Jack Monroe. I think I would say this is where he killed her, isn't it? This is the place. I mean, the murder weapon, the everything, and I think I'm just kind of like holding and I'm seeing my blood on this book, and it's kind of just, it's terrifying me. I probably go white as a sheet at this point and start backing up towards the door.
And the librarian looks at you and says, "You silly girl, filling your head with silly little stories. They like to tell stories. They all like to tell stories. But no one will believe you. No one will ever believe them. It's all just," and he looks at the novel that you've got, a fairy tale. And you realise that you're already out of the door, and the door slams behind you, and you are back in the corridor. Philip just said in chat, he is guilty of hiring a shitty librarian. He super is. Okay, so Witch, you now get to pass the ring to one of your sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be anyone at this point. Who do you
I
want
get to choose? Okay, then let's see. I'm rolling a die real quick. I'm passing to Philip the Animus.
Yes.
To the Animus. Okay.
We already are upset, so let me drive.
Okay, and we have one token of disloyalty. So, Animus, you're a little shaken. And you can feel that kind of just that adrenaline that's spiking throughout all your body. Like this is meant to be your house, and as soon as you come in here, like the very first room that you've come in is just as people ordering you around, and you kind of want to smash something, and you find yourself gripping down very hard on these keys, and then you remember that the keys are in your hand. And which of the keys catches your attention?
I kind of grabbed the key ring, making a fist, and one of the keys stings my palm. It's like especially spiky in the head, and then so that's the key I pick and look closer at, and yeah, it's the metal is uncomfortable and yeah,
it's spiky. Yeah,
spiky.
Okay. And there is a door right by you, and it's a wrought iron door, like a wrought iron gate almost, with this black iron going up and this dark teak wood filling it in. And before you know what you're doing, the key is in the lock, and you've turned it, and you've gone inside, and you find yourself in a hothouse, and it is this greenhouse, and you are surrounded by roses. It's so overgrown in here, and almost as soon as you go in, you've caught your hand on a thorn, and it's kind of torn across your hand, and you can barely move in there.
Ugh.
And the heat is unbearable. Like it was a early spring morning when you got married, and yet somehow in here it is just so damn hot. What do you do?
Okay, that's he should fire the librarian and get a gardener in here. This is.
He absolutely should. He absolutely should.
Is there anything interesting here that's overgrown, or is it just a greenhouse filled with roses?
It's absolutely filled with roses to the point where you can barely move.
Yeah,
they're so pretty.
They are lovely, Virgin. Sorry, Mother, what were you saying?
Oh, can I take stock? Would that be okay?
Yes, please do. Ask me a question.
Yeah, I would. While it's so warm, so oppressively warm in here, there's a cold shiver that runs down my spine as I try to catch a glimpse of things over my shoulder beneath the bushes. And I would love to know what traps have been laid here for the bride.
What traps have been laid here for the bride? Okay. You're wandering through, and you're looking throughout this through this greenhouse, this hothouse, and you're walking, and you snag your ankle on one of these thorn vines, almost, that they are. In fact, you haven't seen this sort of plant before, and then you realise that you can't go forward anymore. It's digging into your arm, and as you reach up to try and go forward and just kind of pull yourself forward, and you grab onto a larger kind of meatier branch, and the thorns are going into your hand. You pull yourself forward, but then somehow you've got yourself tangled, and you're tangled in your arms and your leg, and you hear someone say, "That is just how he likes them." Animus, what do you do?
So who said that I'm turning around?
You can barely turn around.
Yeah, I'm.
Because you're caught. Unless
Yeah,
you want to.
Yeah, I'm at least turning my head.
Okay, you turn your head as much as you can, and you can see that there's a woman there, and she is just out of your field of vision. And her skin is so pale, so like alabaster white, except for these little pricks of red every so often around her body. And at first you go around and you glimpse, and you think that perhaps she's wearing a white dress with sort of like a red polka dot pattern on it, and then you're like, hang on, is she naked? And she reaches up and starts wrapping. She kind of grabs one of the other branches, one of these vines, and she pulls it down, and her hands are bleeding as she's doing so. And she says, "I'll show you how to tie them around. You're meant to do it in a way that you can get free easily, but he doesn't like that. He likes you to be actually stuck." And she's starting to wrap them around your wrist. What do you do?
Stop this! I will not be bound by some mad woman. And I try
I'm
to.
not a mad woman, Kerr. I'm Bluebeard's bride.
You're naked and bleeding in a greenhouse. I think
That's
those are
how
clear
I-
signs.
What do you do?
I try to struggle and not let her bind me.
Okay. That sounds like you are trying to. What are you trying to do? Let's have a look at the moves.
So she's close to me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I will just headbutt her.
Okay,
That's the weapon I have available to me, so I'm using
so
that while my hands are occupied.
Okay, as you reach in and she's trying to bind you, you dirty yourself with violence. So when you dirty yourself with violence, roll plus carnality. On a hit, you inflict trauma as established and choose one.
Do we have room to roll, or do I just use dice?
Just use whatever you like. It's not easy.
Yeah, I have a +1 carnality that brings me to a 7.
A 7, okay. So you choose one. Do you disable them? Do you silence them? Or do you mutilate them?
Disable.
You disable them, okay. You lurch towards her and you headbutt her. And she falls backwards into the rose bushes. and she tries to pull herself up, but she's getting tangled down now, and she's getting all wrapped up in them. Can you choose also either your vulnerability opens you up to a trauma, or your carelessness leaves you in a bad spot? And I'm just going to check this message from.
Okay, so what was the first one?
Either your vulnerability opens you up to a trauma, or your carelessness leaves you in a bad spot.
Yeah, the carelessness is more fitting here. So
your carelessness leaves you in a bad spot. Okay. So you headbutt her, and she falls backwards into the rose bushes, and you are rushing. You just kind of you move away as fast as you can. You rush, and you realise that you're going further into these bushes, and you're getting more and more tangled, and you're getting whipped as these things come across your face and cut you. And as you're going through, like way more rose bushes than there should be, like a forest, like it's like you're running through the woods back when you were at home, and you can see that there are other women who are held up in the bushes, but you can only sort of see them for just a second before you go past, and then you find yourself utterly tangled. Sadly, Lauren does not have the ring at the minute because she totally just shivered in fear. Mother, what are you doing right now?
I think I would like to know what. Oh man, these questions are so good. I would like to know what stalks the bride from the shadows.
Oh, okay. The woman that you knocked back into the thing is coming towards you. She's chasing you through these rose bushes, and you can't. It's like one of those nightmares where you're running, but you're not getting anywhere. But you're not getting anywhere because you are getting wrapped up in these bushes. And the sun goes away, and as soon as the sun goes away, as soon as it goes behind that cloud, you are just plunged into icy dark. And she is coming up behind you, and you can see, when you get a better look back at her, that her mouth has been split completely open, and she's got these vines around her, kind of like whips, and she's pulling her way forward via these whips, just kind of, and she's coming way faster than she'll be able to. Virgin, what are you doing?
Poor thing. Did he do that to her?
Oh, did he? Do you want to try and convince the animus that he did that to her? You could maybe convince her to propose a truth.
Yeah, let's do that.
So you can't currently propose a truth, but you could try and convince.
Yeah. Why did you have to look at her? Just. Oh my god, I can't even.
It's not right. It's not Virgin. It's not right that you should be looking at all. I mean, you've never seen this much naked flesh in you. You don't like to look at yourself in the mirror when you get undressed. It's not right that you should be seeing her like this, and it's really not right how much she reminds you of Amelia right now.
She does.
So what are you saying to the animus?
Why did you do this? This is your fault.
My fault?
I can't even look at her. Did you see who she looked like?
And you are looking away, just kind of like that, as you can feel her head right by you, and you can feel her breath on you, and you can feel a little bit of saliva drip down onto your shoulder.
Say you're sorry. Please.
Sorry for her. You should apologize to me, sisters. If we If we don't keep our heads straight, our white dress will be red before the wedding night. With all this cats and insanity.
And
It's just a mad woman or an imagination.
The bride whispers in your ear, "Don't worry about the dress. He likes it like that. He likes it torn. He likes things that he can make other minds out of."
You aren't his bride. I don't know what you are, and I don't care. We are leaving.
Okay, do you want to propose a truth about this room, or do you want to just try and escape?
What would escaping mean?
It means I would offer you a hard bargain or ugly choice, and if you take it, you get it, but you don't get a token.
Yeah, I'm up for escaping. I'm not in the mood for pondering the importance of this thing.
Okay, the choice is this. You are completely wrapped in these branches right now. If you can run, and in fact you can see an exit. It's really close by. It's tantalizingly close by, but you're going to tear your beautiful dress and some of your skin with it.
What happens if I say we don't? So what would happen if I disagree to tear my dress just for the mechanics?
Mechanically, the scene will continue here, and I could probably something worse will happen to you, or you can propose a truth about the room instead. Maybe in seeing that exit, you can get that truth.
Let's hope she's right about the dress. We should find something we should find a new one. And sorry about this, virgin, but we might get naked.
He will never forgive us.
I mean, he won't. No, you're right. He won't, virgin. It's just, you're such an embarrassment.
He illuminated a chapel for us. He can buy another dress.
And you rip forward, and you feel both the dress ripped from you, and the thorns cut into you, and you are going to take 1 trauma, everyone.
Is this trauma? I can talk the others into that it is their fault.
All of them at once,
or
yes.
One of them.
But yeah, I was going to say you can, but you could talk all of them into it once you're out, but they could individually then each say that it's not their fault, and you could take a lot of trauma and you could shatter. But let's take that trauma. So you rip forward, and you're going for the door, and you thought it was an open door, but it's actually glass, and you just smash right through it, and you're put back in where you were when you smashed that glass, and when you blinded poor what was his name? Your favorite brother?
Gilbert.
When you blinded Gilbert, and you're reminded of Gilbert crying as he, for days after he was blinded, and after he realized that he couldn't read like he used to, because that was his one good eye. The other eye was always lazy from birth. And then you realize that the crying's you, and you're on the floor out of the corridor again, like a different corridor. You're maybe three stories up now. You didn't even realize the house had this many stories. So do you wish to...
Yeah, first thing, I might have flinched when you are at the image of falling naked through a sheet glass window. So
I think you did as well. You shivered in fear. So when you shiver in fear, name the thing that you're most afraid will happen. I'm going to tell you how it's much worse than you fear. Keep the ring and choose 2, or pass the ring and choose 1. So what do you fear?
Yeah, I fear that woman in there was right about Bluebeard's proclivities. Like he does like to tie people up with roses and doesn't care too much about the dress.
Okay. And which of the two do you choose?
Sure, let's pass the ring, but
Okay, you're going to choose one. Okay, who are you passing the ring to?
I want to pass it to the mother.
To the mother, okay. And you're choosing...
Let's get infected with perversions.
Okay. So you realize what it is that Bluebeard likes. Do you believe the woman? Even though when you look back, like, you can't have possibly been in the greenhouse because you're on the 3rd floor now, and there's just a little cupboard door that you've come out of. But you are nonetheless bleeding, and you're in a torn dress, and you tear off a little more of it to wrap around you to stop yourself bleeding, and you tie it just a little tighter than perhaps you need to, and you wrap it around your throat, like you saw the vine wrapped around her throat, and tie it just a little bit tighter than it needs to. And in fact, were you even bleeding there? But you like the feeling as it makes you choke, and there's something stirring in you. Mother, you pull yourself together. That was all quite improper. This is business for younger girls, not for you. What? You kind of paddy yourself and look down, and you're. Is it night all of a sudden? How long were you in there? But the moon glints down, and it glints off a key. What does the key look like?
The moon catches it much in the same way the sunlight captured Bluebeard and I underneath that dapple tree. The key is golden, but it's like pockmarked with like, you know when old keys get a bit stained and spotty?
Yep.
And in my palm, it's warm. So warm.
Okay. There is a room next to you, and you look at the key and you look at the door, and there's just this warmth. You can feel it coming from the room, and there's like a glow coming from behind the door, and it's a very simple door with there's a picture of a tree. So it's this white door, but with a picture of a tree laid in gold filigree, which is just like the tree that you read underneath. And there's a kind of warmth and a steam coming from the room. And before you know what you're doing, you put the key in the door, and you unlock it, and you pull it open, and you're in the room. And the room closes behind you. There's terrible wind in this place, and the room is entirely filled with steam. Philip just had a question. Did we resolve the trauma of leaving? No, so everyone takes a trauma from smashing through that room. Philip, did you want to first try and convince people that it's their fault that they did that?
I'm talking to the mother.
Oh, okay.
Mother, you are the one who is supposed to be in charge, at least somehow. Yet you stumbled and got us trapped. All this is your fault, but now you can make it right. Now you have the ring.
I refuse. Animus, you're always doing this to me. You cause all this trouble, and then you turn to me and tell me that it's my fault and that I need to fix it. And you know what? I will fix it. But only for your own good.
So are you saying that you agree?
Yeah, I think I do agree. This is my fault. I should have stopped it before she got herself into too much trouble.
Okay, so Mother, you heal one trauma then.
Yeah, I will not guilty others. It's okay.
And the steam clears from the room, Mother, and you are in a bathroom. And there are just white tiles everywhere. it looks as if it's been scrubbed down with bleach. You could do anything in here and then scrub it down, and no one would know anything different. And there is there's a woman, a very old woman, and she is hurrying to and from this. There's a cauldron, like this old black, almost like witch's cauldron, under which water is boiling, and she is putting her hands into the water. She's got like a little bowl. She doesn't even have a jug, and she's putting her hands into the water, and that you can hear that as they are burning as they go in. And then she picks it up and puts it back and spills it into the bath that's there. And she says, "I'll be with you in a minute, dear. I'm filling it as fast as I can. Please, I'm filling it as fast as I can." What do you do?
I look to her filling the tub, which I'm quite relieved for I could definitely use a bath in my current state. And I think I take myself to the nearest, like whatever looks like a medicine cabinet or some sort of place that might store something to soothe the wounds that we've taken from the greenhouse, all the scratches and stuff. And I say to her, the bath can wait. I'm injured. I'm hurt. I need help.
No, dear. No, the bath can't wait. No, look at you. You're a mess. He's going to be back any minute now. No, you need to get yourself ready. You know what he does. He doesn't like dirty girls. He wants you to be clean. He wants you to be bathed. Here, quickly. And she grabs your hand and she pushes it into the water, and it is fucking scalding hot. What do you do?
I scream out loud. Just
So you
because it
scream
hurts
for help?
so much. Look at these moves. I think let's do that because I'm super bad at that. That sounds fun.
Okay. So do you want to read that move out to me, please?
Oh yeah, sure thing. When you break down and cry for help, roll plus resilience. On a hit, a house servant comes to address your concerns and calm your hysteria. On a 7 to 9, they help you, but they first need proof of your loyalty to Bluebeard.
Okay.
Oh, and I rolled a 3.
You rolled a 3. Okay. She feels you struggling against her, and she feels you struggling against her, and you try and push back, and you scream for help, and you feel this hand on your mouth. And she's like, no, don't worry. The pain, it gets so much better if you just move through it. And she's pushing your hand further and further under the water. Bride, take a trauma, everyone.
And I'm sure her hand smells like burning flesh and stuff too, right? Like
It absolutely does. And in fact, yours is starting to, your hand is starting to blister under the water. And as you look down into the water, you can see that there is a woman there. And she is under the water, completely submerged, and it is boiling, and her skin is red and blotchy and blistered. And there's no air that's coming up. There's no bubbles coming up, and it looks like she's been there. It looks like she's been boiling there for days. And you realise now that even though this is a bathroom, it smelt kind of like soup as you were coming in. And there's no way that she could possibly be alive, except her eyes open, and she's looking right at you. What do you do?
I think that, all this is happening and my hand is in there, and I have to imagine this hand got cut up on those rose bushes from the last room we were in, right?
Oh, horribly.
Absolutely. So I think that, because there's all this, you said it's like white tile is kind of the motif that we're seeing right now. Yeah, so against that in the water, I think you start to see blood from our hands kind of seeping into the water every direction off the hand, and I think I get an insight in this room for my move, the medium.
Yeah, cool. So there's going to be.
I'm going to take another trauma.
What is everyone's trauma at the minute? So you're at 4, 1, 2, and 2. Okay. Oh, we might have a shatter soon. So your hand is blistering and it's starting to the blood comes out of the blisters and starts flowing through the water like blood does when it hits water. And the woman that's under the water finally starts breathing, and the blood goes and into her mouth, and she swallows it down, and she pulls herself up out of the water, and she says, he wanted me. I was dirty, and he needed me to be clean, but he wouldn't stop, and I couldn't breathe. I can't breathe. There's nothing going in. There is nothing going in. Mother, what do you do?
Ooh, that reminded me a lot of a time Dad did something similar. Does she count as a horror?
She does.
Oh, cool. I think I look at her and she looks back at me, and we're both kind of wide-eyed, and she's pink and cooked, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I want to take her by the shoulders and ask if I can help her out of the bath.
As you do so, you take her by the shoulders, and your fingers slip, and like pork when you've been cooking it, and if you've been boiling it for a little while, it just kind of comes away, and the skin just kind of comes away.
Oh, God.
So shiver and fear.
I was trying so hard not to. That's so good.
What do you fear is going to happen?
I don't even want to imagine. I think I fear that. Oh, geez. I think I fear that I'm gonna, like, the same's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna tumble in and become cooked pork.
Okay. And how is that going to be worse than you fear?
I know. Sorry. I can dial it back a bit if you want.
No. That's absolutely fine. It's worse than you fear because the old woman is saying, don't worry about him. She says all sorts of things. You can't trust women when they've had a drink or two, can you? And she is you realise that you haven't seen what she's been doing, and she's not even pouring water into the bath anymore. She's just splashing water all around on the floor, and this water is filling up. This burning, scalding water is filling up, and it's up to your waist now. And any minute now, she's pouring this water almost inhumanly fast, and it's going to be above your head. What option do you choose?
Good question. Choices. I'm gonna pass the ring, I think.
Okay.
And I think it speaks to me. Just be.
So you take trauma.
Yeah. And I think this speaks to me from a place of our dad doing something very similar.
Okay.
And it was
what had you done to make your dad angry?
I think Dad asked us to run the bath for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I did my duty and did it for him. But when I made it, the water was much too hot, and he stepped in. This is like the big toe, and he yelped and scolded me for being so careless, and he threw a jug of the hot water in my face. And for a second, I felt like I was going to cower away, and instead I stood up to him and threw a jug right back at him, and he fell into the tub.
Okay.
It bit my face a lot.
Okay, and you protect your sisters, and that is why only you now take trauma. Because much like then, you are protecting them by projecting this just on yourself. You're kind of shutting everyone else out.
I love you guys.
I could talk something. Could talk some guilt into you if you want.
If you feel like talking guilt into me, you can do it.
It's fine helping this woman, but why do you ignore this evil old crown? This obviously evil old crown, and now we are suffering for your mistake.
I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job, dearie. Don't you mind about me? And she's splashing water directly on you now.
As much as I hate to admit it, you're right. I should be listening to our other sister, the dark sister, the one who can see through people's facades and lies. I've done wrong.
However, sadly, because only the Virgin is left, it's not the Dark Sister that you're going to get to hand that ring to now. It is going to be the weakest of you, the one that can barely cope normally going on, because you're regressing into like a childlike form, because this reminds you so much of the abuse of your father's hands. And
now, Virgin, you need to fight. You can drown here if you really want.
And the ring is going to have to be passed to the Virgin.
Virgin, don't listen to those voices in the back of our head. The ones that tell you that you're not strong. The ones that tell you you're weak. I know that you can stand up to this and that you are indeed strong. And with this, I give the ring to you.
But there are so many voices.
And Lauren, you heal one trauma because you accept that this was your fault, much as it was your fault the time that your father burned you. Okay, Virgin, what are you doing?
I'm clutching my keys very hard, looking around, trying to orient myself after that harrowing. I don't because I was just shut out. So I think like I look around to reorient myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So you're looking around, and there's got to be some way out. As this scalding water is kind of going up to your nose, past your nose now, and you can see that maybe there is a way out if there's a skylight up in the roof, and if you swim upwards, if you maybe wait until it goes up above your head, you can get out by going through the skylight. But the old woman is still going back and forth. Somehow she's not floating at all, just going back and forth on the floor, back and forth, back and forth. But the woman that was in the bathtub is floating out towards you now.
Yeah. So what I think I'll do is that I'll like reach my hand up to the old crone over me, and just like with this look on my face, and like trying to like get her to reach out to me.
Okay, are you trying to escape, or are you trying to propose a truce?
I think I'm trying to propose a truce.
And what is the truth that you're proposing, Virgin?
We shouldn't have thrown the water at father. It was a mistake. We shouldn't have.
So sorry. So do you think that like you shouldn't have thrown the water at father, and it was your fault? Do you think that perhaps whatever's happened to this woman, Bluebeard was justified in doing whatever he did? So are you taking a token of disloyalty or a token of faithfulness?
This is kind of interesting, because I feel like the Virgin would often think that a lot of the trouble that the others got into was because of her.
Okay.
But I think like with the voice of the mother ringing in my ears, I'll be like, no. We were doing it to protect ourselves.
So whatever the woman did was to protect herself. So it's there was something to protect herself from. So is this a token of disloyalty that you're taking?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you actually taking? Is it the bowl?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So you take the bowl and you swim upwards, and you swim to the skylight, and you're pushing upwards, and the skylight, by the way, is stained glass, and there's a face of a woman who looks very much like you but prettier. And you push upwards, and you don't think it's going to give, and you think you're beginning to drown, and you're taking on water as just you push and off and pull yourself out. And you pull yourself out, and you've just emerged from a basement, and you look back down, and there's the stairs going down, and there's no water anywhere. How did you get here? So everyone take 1 trauma, and now that is going to mean that someone shatters unless someone can do something about that.
Yeah.
I could.
Can I?
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think, Lauren, have you got a move that can?
I think I do. When I forgive a sister's sins, I mark trauma 1 for 2 to heal the sister.
Okay. And you can't help but feel that this is all the witch's fault somehow, because she was the one that really wanted this. She was the one that dragged you in here. It was her that was saying that this was the way to power, the way to get away from these people. And yet here you are in this. You don't know where you are. It's madness. But why do you forgive her?
I forgive her because I think for a while she was quite quiet when she should have spoken up, because there are people there lying to us, and I feel like she's the one who can really see through the dark, being her witchy self.
So do you think she realizes it's her fault, and maybe that's why you forgive her? Do you think that's why she's been so quiet, and not because Jesse's computer dropped out for a bit?
Yeah. I think her silence is a lot, and I think that silence equates to guilt.
Okay.
But I forgive her for that.
Okay. And so, witch, you may heal a trauma, and I believe, does she heal 2 trauma and you take 1, or is it the other way around?
It says, when you offer forgiveness, marked trauma, 1 for 2, to heal that sister. So I'm not sure if the 1 for 2 is like.
Okay, so I would say that you take 1 and they heal 2.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So I'm back down to 3.
You're back down to 3.
Okay.
And I believe it is your turn with the ring as well, witch.
Ooh, okay.
That's your time to act on that guilt, sister.
It is.
Yeah.
Can we take, just before we get into the next ring, can we take a 2-minute break? Just a little
Sounds great.
break. And
Sounds good.
we'll be back in a sec.
I believe in you, Jesse.
From now on, everything will be your fault and we are okay. Just believe me, man.
Oh man, this is good. I love it.
Yeah, the shield's a really fucked up move. Like, yeah, the rules incentivize you to internalize your self-doubt, which is voiced by the animals.
Mm-hmm.
It's a horrible game, like brilliantly horrible. Like the where the thing where it's got where we did the wedding preparations and the things and stuff, and the descriptions of the body, instead of the bride's body, it's got the bride's insecurities and the things that she left behind are the bride's fears and stuff like that. The whole game is deeply wrong in a good way. It's very, very clever.
Love it.
Okay, so Witch, you kind of come to, and you felt this blackness coming into you, and you could feel it kind of pulling you apart, and you could feel that you were coming apart, and you could feel yourself drifting from your sisters when you heard the mother talking in your ear. It's okay. I know you feel bad about this. I know you wanted this, and perhaps we all did a little bit, but you wanted it the most, and it is your fault that we're here, but we know you're sorry. And you come back a little bit, and you wake up, and you are at the top of the stairs as you were before, and you are playing with a key. You're playing with another of the keys on this ring.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it? What does it look like?
Yeah, I think this one just kind of fell into my hand as we were doing this, and is actually quite surprising because I don't think, despite its bulk, I don't think I noticed it on the keyring previously, even flipping through keys. It's like, I think it kind of goes forward on, like, it's made probably from like, I think brass.
Okay.
One stem that actually bifurcates into two key heads.
Okay.
So like, yeah, I think it's just a very strange multi, like, okay, this looks like it's supposed to fit into like two adjacent locks or something,
Okay.
just right next to each other.
And you turn to your left, and there's a door there that has, wouldn't you know it, it would just fit straight in. There are two locks, and clever girl that you are, you figure out exactly where to put it and how to turn it. And you go into a room. The door closes behind you. And the room is, it's got like a checkered floor. And in fact, there are, there's games all around, chessboards and checkers boards and stuff like that. And the room is filled with, it doesn't have wallpaper. It has mirrors, and everywhere you go, you can see yourself. And you can see yourself because you have a mirror on either end. You've got that kind of that infinity mirror where you can just see yourself going on forever and ever and ever and ever. And there's a table in the center of the room with like a medical gurney in the center of the room with a white sheet over it. And it's about the size of two people. You could fit two people happily on it. There's a shape underneath it, kind of a human shape, maybe. And there are a series of blood-stained medical tools nearby, on a little metal platter. And you can hear someone pottering over in a little corner, and you don't know how they can even be out of your sight with all these mirrors around. You can't see how there could be anyone that you can't see, but at the same time, you can't really tell where the room ends. And you kind of found yourself walking into something that you assumed the room carried on, but it's not. It's like there's a mirror there, and you bump into it. What do you do?
So, quick question: like when I look into the mirrors and see myself reflected back, do I I mean, do I see all the, you know, accumulated damage done over the last few rooms? Is that a physical thing that I'm noticing in these mirrors?
No. You look as beautiful as a bride could hope to look.
So okay, perfect. So I think the first thing I do is walk over to a mirror. I mean, I'm like looking into the mirror. I probably even put my hand on it, you know, like touch it, you know, hand to hand, you know, through the mirror, and I'm like examining my own face and kind of touching myself with the other, looking for the, you know, the burn marks and the scratches from the you know, the cuts from the roses, and looking around. And I'm actually, as soon as I stop looking at myself, I actually probably in the mirror, I'm examining the room now, and I'm like kind of looking and just taking stock of what I see here.
Yeah. And you hear a voice behind you, and you've been so entranced in looking at yourself because you're so very, very beautiful that you didn't notice this man coming up behind you. And he says, yes, it's not a bad starting place, but there's nothing in life that can't be improved on. And there is a man standing behind you in white, like doctor's robes, but just covered in brown bloodstains. And he says, and you know, who would be satisfied with one when you could have two, for example? Two is always better, more is always better. The more you can have, like 2 glasses of wine is always better than 1 glass of wine, 2 bottles of wine is always better than 1 bottle of wine, and let's not worry about tomorrow. So let's get you ready for the procedure. And he starts dragging you over to the table. And you see there's a pile in the corner, and you don't know how you didn't notice it before, but there's a pile of women's bodies, and they are sewn together. Their arm has been cut off here, and their leg has been cut off, and then they have been sewn together really clumsily. And he says, no, don't look at that. Don't look at that over there. It's a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. Look at you, how beautiful we're going to make you. And he started to drag you over to this gurney. Virgin, what do you do?
I say, like, don't listen to him. He's lying. 1 punch is always better than 2.
Someone's been listening to the Animus too much.
Yeah, stop fondling our own tits and act.
And the doctor says, you must have. I mean, not in the way of Sappho, of course. You're not some sort of dirty pervert, but you must have looked at another woman and thought how beautiful they were. And wouldn't you like to be more part of that? Wasn't there someone back home who you wish to be that close to, that you wish you could be sewn to?
Ooh. I think the witch just kind of shakes herself out of this and looks with like anger and just kind of disgust at this person, and kind of rips her hand away if she can, and says, Bluebeard told me specifically not to change a single thing about me. He said he loved how tall I am. He said he loved my beautiful raven hair. He said he loved my hands that were untainted by hard work. If you change me, just wait and see what Bluebeard will do to you.
Oh, he said that he loved how tall you were, and yet on the very first time he took you out, he bought you shoes to make you taller, didn't he? As I said, he wants more. Constantly. He wants you to be bigger. He wants you to be more perfect. He wants you to be beautiful, more whatever the fuck he wants. Now come here and let's sew off that arm. And he's grabbing for a bone saw.
Okay.
Animus, this kind of sounds like something that you might get involved in now.
Yeah, they were surgical instruments, right?
There were. However, you cannot dirty yourself with violence, because the witch currently has the ring, unless the witch voluntarily passes the ring, which also would make the witch invulnerable to trauma until the ring is next passed.
Well, I can help her by looking for the right tool to do the job. I want to, while the witch is like controlling our heads and talking and looking, I'm reaching out with our hands and feeling the surgical instruments to grab one that's suitable.
Which are you going to do? What the animus wants you to do? What the animus always wants you to do? She is very. You know so many different ways that you could act, and she always wants you to act the same way. She always wants you to act like a man. Are you a man? Sure.
I'm not. I'm the witch, and I think the witch smiles. The witch smiles, and knows that there's a time for every tool. Right? There's a time to use the virgin to make everyone believe that my little time traipsing off into the forest is just benevolent, helping of our schoolmistress. And there's a time for the animus to come forward. And I think that, regardless of what the animus says and how anyone would perceive it, it just says this is the right tool for the right job, and kind of gleefully passes over the ring here.
Okay. So the two of you, Animus, what of the surgical tools do you grab? And what do you do with it?
Yeah, I think I'm grabbing a Japanese screw.
What is that?
That's like a screw.
Screw. Yes, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
And I'm using that as a just to stab the guy.
Okay, where are you stabbing him? And how much does it bleed?
A lot.
Well, let's roll dirty yourself with violence. So that is.
I'm getting so dirty. It's a 12.
To 12. Okay.
Yeah, the +1 already factored in.
Okay. Do you disable him? Do you silence him, or do you mutilate him?
That does sound like a mutilation to me.
It does. Which part of him are you mutilating?
He's a surgeon, so hands. So like he tries to defend himself, and I'm keep stabbing.
Stabbing over and over and over and over.
The witch is just cackling in the background and just marveling at what a wonderful tool you are, Animus.
And he stumbles backwards and he's screaming, You bitch! Look what you've done! But he stumbles backwards and he trips over the gurney. And the already prepared body of the woman that he was going to stitch you to falls outwards. And it's Amelia. But her arm has been sawn off, and one of her legs has been sawn off, and she looks up at you with dead eyes.
Fuck yeah!
Was that a little shiver with fear there, Philip?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What do you fear is going to happen?
I'm afraid it's really her.
Okay.
And yeah. I think that's the worst thing. If
okay, you afraid it's really her. Okay, so you go over and you check it's her. What's this? This man is screaming. He's screaming in the background, and it is her. But she's not dead. And she looks up at you. And she says, You left me. You left me there, and he came and he found me. This is your fault. You did this. You did this to me. And she grabs at your arm and she is pulling it down. Come on. We're going to do this. We're going to do this together. This is what you wanted. You wanted me. You wanted us together. And she is grabbing now for the bone saw that has been dropped. Which of the options do you choose? Or are you going to pass the ring? Neither the Virgin nor the Mother have had the ring in a while. Lauren does not want the ring.
Yeah, I think let's get infected with perversion again, and it has us in its clutches right now.
Okay. So you're keeping the ring and you're choosing to, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. She's pulling you closer, and she kisses you, and you kiss her back, and you feel her tongue pulling around in your mouth. And you've never kissed anyone before. You've never kissed Bluebeard, and you didn't want to admit that you wanted to kiss Amelia. And it feels beautiful for just a second before you realize that her tongue is really wrapping around yours, like it's tying around it like a tentacle. And she pulls back, and her tongue is attached to yours, and they're one and the same thing now, and you are attached by your tongues to each other. What do you do?
I'm shaking my head, and I'm
You
trying.
can't shake your head, you're attached right to her.
Yeah,
You do, and it
Yeah.
like someone grabbing your tongue.
Yeah, I'm showing how this is. I think this is wrong, and I'm trying to gently push her away with my hands, so maybe our tongues dislodge.
Oh, they're not dislodging, but you do have that bone saw to hand.
Yeah. Damn, yeah, it has to be done.
That's going to be. What, are you trying to escape from the room, or are you just trying to get out of this particular situation?
I'm trying to get out of this particular situation.
Okay, cool. How much trauma are you on at the minute, Animus?
I'm 2 at the moment, so I
You're
can. Or did I get trauma from shivering?
Do you mark trauma from shivering?
I don't think so.
No, you don't.
No, I did not. I did not pick the trauma one, so
No.
I'm at 2. I can. So I could go up still.
Okay, right. Everyone is going to take a trauma as the Animus saws through your tongue. And I need a drink. What trauma is everyone on right now? You're back on 4. Which? 4? Okay. So yeah, you're bleeding from your mouth, and Amelia is clawing her way forward on her one arm and her one leg towards you, kind of slithering across the floor.
I'm telling the Virgin how this is their fault. So
You're telling the Virgin. How is this the Virgin's fault?
we are in this fucked up mansion, and everything is torture, and Amelia is here, and because of us, we should have done this much earlier. Didn't you feel how good it was to kiss her? We could have done this and avoided all this Bluebeard nonsense.
And yeah, it was the Virgin's fault, because the Virgin knew that wasn't what good girls do. You don't feel attracted to other women. Women are meant to be attracted to men. This is not you. And she would just repeat back what the priest said when he caught her looking at Amelia and beat her that time. And she repeats it back word for word over and over and over. Virgin, do you believe the Animus?
Yeah, of course I do. It's true. I should have been with her. She was kind and gentle. Not like Bluebeard. It's our fault. We should have stayed with her. I should have kissed her while I had a chance.
Okay, and Virgin, what are you doing now that you do have the chance to do something?
Well, do I have the ring?
You don't have the ring yet unless Philip wants to give it to you.
No, but you can do maiden moves like helping someone out.
You could care for someone, for example.
Yeah, exactly that one.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna. I think I. It's like this long moment where I look at what is kind of Amelia, and I caress her face.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Amelia. I'm so sorry. I left you.
I missed you. It's been. We were so close that we were almost sewn together, and you met this man, and this ugly man with this huge blue beard. What did you see in him? And you never spoke to me again. It was like you forgot I was there.
I was afraid.
Why did you do that?
I was afraid.
I'm afraid.
The witch is in the back of your mind telling, back behind you, telling you, just tell her a pretty little lie. That's all she needs right now.
I think
I'm afraid.
it squints a little at that, and I reach into to hold her. I think this is gonna be the last time we're together. I love you.
But she dies just before you say that. And you look down and realize that she didn't hear. Animus, you still have the ring at the minute. Are you proposing a truth about this room?
Yeah.
What is the truth you're proposing?
Yeah, this is the room where our love died. And yeah, it's Emilia, she's dead, but we also all the illusions we had about Bluebeard are also dead. So I'm taking the distrust one.
You're taking the distrust. Okay. And almost numb, you wander out of the room. Your hand, you let go, kind of like trailing away from Amelia's hand, with the still bloody bone saw in the other, as your last token of distrust. And you find yourself at the end of a long corridor, and there is a closet at the end of it. And you look down at the very simple gold key, which you know will open it. And we have come to the final room. So, do you present your findings to the town and try and get them to arrest Bluebeard? Or do you run away and try and hide? You can decide that between you all. Well, let's get the witch's opinion first. Which way do you think you should go? Are you going to try and just run from here as fast as you can and pretend none of this ever happened, start over? You could maybe make great things for yourself in another land if you maybe get to the city, the place that you wanted to go, not this mansion of madness. Or do you try and get vengeance? Do you try and show this man exactly who he's fucking with?
Yeah, I think it's vengeance. I think it's presenting, yeah, absolutely, trying to not even necessarily worried about making sure this never happens again, but trying to make, like lashing out because it happened to me. I don't care about any of the rest. It's me that, you know, like this isn't going to happen to me, and I'm going to make sure of that.
Okay, and Mother, will you protect the rest of your sisters by taking them far away from here and showing them a safe place that they can stay? Or will you protect the whole world by ensuring that Bluebeard pays for his crimes?
Mother is so torn because the village we came from never helped us. It ridiculed us and belittled us and made us feel like we didn't belong, which is more or less why we're here. It shamed us for our love of Amelia. So in some sense of the word, Mother's like, fuck it. You need to protect yourself in these kinds of situations.
So you're for running away. Okay. And Virgin, you don't even know really who you are anymore. You don't even really know if there's a place for a virgin. Do you at this point try and stop such things happening to others, or do you want to run and hide like you used to do from Father when you heard him come home drunk late at night?
No, Bluebeard's got to pay. He's got to pay for what he did.
And Animus, will you wreak bloody vengeance on this one man, or will you burn your way through the world, wreaking vengeance on everyone that even reminds you of Bluebeard, but never dealing with the man himself?
We can do that later. First, Bluebeard. They might not miss us in the town, but they will miss Amelia. And that might be enough to get them. And even if we had to cut off our own tongue, we know how to read and write, and we still have our hands. So we will get the truth out there, and we will get Bluebeard.
Okay, so that is 3 votes for present evidence to the town. So that sounds like that's what we're going to go for. Which, when you presented your evidence to the town, what did the town do to rid themselves of the bride's disloyal ravings? Because they didn't believe you. You're a silly little woman. Why would they? Bluebeard he's a rich, respectable man, and you are just hysterical.
So I'm trying to prove it at this point. Is that the issue?
You're trying to prove it, but what did they do to get rid of you? What did they do to?
They tried to do this when I was presenting evidence and trying to convince them.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
What did they do? Oh man. I feel like some people actually started like they can still see the unhappy, jealous, angry faces of the people, you know, when we left. And I think whenever I turned one direction to talk to someone, I think that stones started flying from the crowd, like, you know, like maybe one here and there, but, you know, like one on the shoulder, you know, that kind of really hurts badly and leaves kind of a, you know, stain or a gash through the dress. You know, nobody would do it when I'm facing them, but when they're, you know, behind to the side, I can't see. Someone will toss something, and I think it's just their dissatisfaction and distrust and dislike.
And the one person that you do catch doing it is Henry, and you expect that from him. But then you see that he is handing a stone to your favorite brother, who throws it also. Mother, how did Bluebeard blackmail the bride's family into silence?
Good question. I think our family's always been on rough times ever since Gilbert lost his eye. Henry's not built for great things, but Gilbert was going places. He was going to ensure our family.
He played a brilliant violin, but he can't read music anymore.
And I think Bluebeard whispered promises of wealth, perhaps enough wealth to restore his sight. He knows a good doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He
does.
Yeah, Gilbert is welcome to come to the establishment, and if they remain quiet, restore Gilbert's sight.
Okay. Virgin, what loving gift does Bluebeard send you on your anniversary?
The tongue of Amelia.
Oh, fuck. Okay. I don't think any more questions are needed there. And Animus, what new room in Bluebeard's house haunts the bride's dreams every night?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah, what new room haunts the bride's dreams in Bluebeard's house every night? And just before you answer that, I just want to... I couldn't for just a second because I was a little bit shocked, but I'm going to go back and address the tongue. It comes in like this beautiful perfumed box, like the sort of thing that you would get chocolates in. It's like a little chocolate box, and it does all this kind of like beautiful pink silk inside, with the tongue placed directly in the folds of the pink silk. So yeah, Animus, go on.
Yeah, I think the room resonates with the image of an impossibly tall, raven-haired woman who is bleeding from the mouth, and whatever Bluebeard's next bride he lures into it will see here or will experience here is that the tall horror tries to muzzle her, keeping her from speaking or kissing.
And to whoever wants to answer this last final question, as the bride looks over to where she knows Bluebeard's house is, and she knows that she is going to go join him in that room, what is she doing to prepare herself to make herself perfect for that room?
Ooh. I think she puts on a pair of boots, tall boots with a tall heel, and places a choker around her neck, and slips on a pair of elegant gloves to hide the skin beneath.
And she walks out of her house and into the woods towards Bluebeard's house. And there we will leave it. Fucking hell. That is...
I'm imagining her hair pulled back tight of her own volition. No, like just kind of as a symbol that she knows she's controlled at this point. Oh,
yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That was... Oh.
That's horrible. Like, I really liked it, but that's... Oh.
Yeah, we should have just moved to Soho and become a bitter, tongueless lesbian.
Oh my god! Right.
Too soon.
Yeah. Does anyone have any debriefing that they want to do, or do you want to do that via text so that we can deflate into a different area a little bit? Do you want to go over into Discord or something?
Sure, we can, or we just stop the recording and talk here, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So, right, we will leave it here for this evening. To anyone who has watched it and made this all the way through, well done. You're a bad person, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for running.